In the ebb and flow of life, we all face moments that feel too heavy to carry. Times when the ground beneath our feet seems to disappear, when silence becomes loud, and the heart aches for clarity. Peace, or simply, a way through. In these fragile moments, we often seek wisdom, not as a quick escape, but as a lantern to guide us gently through the storm. Welcome to the Dharma journey. A space dedicated to mindfulness, healing, and the timeless wisdom of the Buddha. This channel is not about answers that shout, but about insights that whisper, quiet truths that awaken strength, resilience, and compassion from within. In this episode, we turn to the words of the Buddha, not as doctrine, but as deep nourishment for the soul. What did the Buddha say about suffering, uncertainty, and the inevitable difficulties of human life? And how can his gentle yet unwavering teachings become an anchor in our own turbulent times? Let us pause together. Breathe. Listen. And step into this journey, not to escape difficulty, but to meet it with presence and peace. When life doesn't go the way we wish, we often blame ourselves for being inadequate. Blame others for being heartless, blame the world for being unfair. All burdens pile onto weary shoulders, making us want to give up and run away from everything. Yet, right in those fragile, weary moments, if we're quiet enough, we may hear a gentle whisper inside, pause. Look deeper. Long ago, a grieving mother came to the Buddha, holding her lifeless child, begging him to bring the child back to life. The Buddha didn't perform any miracle. Instead, he asked her to find a handful of mustard seeds from any house that had never lost a loved one. Desperate, she knocked on every door, but after visiting every home, she realized no house was free from death. She returned to the Buddha, her tears dried up, her grief softened. In that truth, she learned how to let her child go from her arms, but keep him forever in her heart, where no one could ever take him away. Stories like this have lived on for over 600 years because they touch the very core of our human suffering. When we understand that everything is impermanent, happiness or pain, all come and go like drifting clouds, we begin to complain less, blame less. We start to see adversity as a strict but honest teacher, revealing our limits, attachments, illusions, and expectations. The Buddha never promised that life would always be smooth. He simply showed us a way for the mind to remain at peace, even in the storm. Instead of trying to force life to bend to our will, we learn to flow with how life truly is. Because change is the nature of all things, not a mistake. Spring cannot stay forever, a smile cannot be held on our lips forever. Yet, because of this impermanence, we learn to cherish the moments of peace while they are here. When facing hardship, the first thing we tend to do is complain, tell our sad story to anyone who will listen. But those who understand the Dharma look inward first. What pain is truly drowning me? Is it what's happening out there, or is it my own anger, fear, and unyielding expectations? When we stop clinging to the idea that everything must go my way, suffering eases. The hard part is that our mind is so used to its old patterns, wanting to control, fearing the unknown. To change, we must learn to see things as they are, not as we want them to be. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. These words are not cold, they are deeply compassionate. He placed the greatest power in our hands, to take full responsibility for our own life. When we learn to shine the light of awareness inward, storms outside lose their power. Because when the world goes dark, but your mind stays bright, nothing can shake you. Life may not go as you wish, but your mind can. Some lose everything yet still smile, because they know possessions can be regained, but a peaceful heart is harder to reclaim once lost. Others may have everything yet live in constant fear, clinging, doubting, worried about losing it all. In the end, suffering is not about what we have or don't have, but how deeply we understand and let go. The old saying goes, follow nature. and you will find peace. This follow does not mean surrendering helplessly, it means seeing deeply into the nature of things so we're not swept away by them. When your heart rests fully in the present, you may realize that even difficulties have their purpose. A door that shuts may lead you to a wider path you never imagined. Someone who leaves you may teach you self-reliance and the art of truly loving yourself. If life feels unbearably unfair right now, try stopping for a moment. Instead of blaming, ask your heart. What lesson am I learning here? Instead of fighting, take a deep breath. See clearly that everything changes, pain changes too. See that you're still breathing, still here, still able to begin again. And who knows, amid the ruins, you may plant seeds for a new life, more peaceful, more understanding, more loving than before. This is the greatest gift the Buddha left for us. A path to walk through suffering with our own awakened mind. No one can carry the storm for us. But when your heart stands strong like a mountain, what wind could ever shake you? Understanding suffering, the first step to liberation. The Buddha never turned away from suffering. He didn't pretend it didn't exist or cover it with comforting illusions. Instead, he began with a truth so simple yet so piercing that it still shakes us awake more than 2,600 years later: life is suffering. For many, these words sound pessimistic, even hopeless. But they are not an invitation to despair, they are a door to freedom. The Buddha taught that only by looking directly at suffering, without flinching, can we truly understand its roots and find a way beyond it. Avoiding pain doesn't free us from it, it only lets it grow quietly in the shadows of our mind. Suffering appears in many forms. Sometimes it's obvious: loss, illness, death. But more often it hides in everyday moments, a quiet feeling of emptiness even when we have everything we thought we wanted. The fear of losing what we love, the constant craving for more. We run from discomfort, chase after pleasure, cling to things and people hoping they will stay the same forever. Yet nothing stays. This constant clash between how life is and how we want it to be, that is the very root of our suffering. The Buddha's wisdom doesn't lie in magical promises of escaping life's pains, but in showing us how to face them with open eyes and a steady heart. He called this the first noble truth, the truth of suffering, Dukkha. But he didn't stop there. He went on to uncover its cause, our craving, our clinging, our refusal to accept impermanence. And he showed that if suffering has a cause, it can also have an end. To understand suffering is to understand ourselves. When we pause to observe our own mind, we may see how easily we create our own torment. A harsh word from someone echoes in our head for days because we cling to pride. A fear of losing our job grows into sleepless nights because we cling to security. A passing look from a stranger makes us feel unworthy because we cling to others' approval. The suffering isn't only in the world, it blooms inside us. But here is where the Buddha's teaching shines a light. If suffering arises in the mind, then the mind can free itself. The same place that breeds fear can grow compassion. The same thoughts that tighten into anger can soften into forgiveness. The same craving that makes us restless can turn into contentment when we see its true nature. None of this means we deny our pain. The Buddha never taught us to push suffering away or pretend it's not there. He invited us to sit with it, to watch it, to understand it. Like a doctor diagnoses a wound before healing it, we must first see clearly where it hurts and why. This is not easy, our instinct is to run. But the more we run, the stronger suffering becomes. Only when we stay with it does it begin to loosen its grip. This is why mindfulness, simple, honest awareness, is at the heart of Buddhist practice. When you sit quietly and watch your thoughts, your breath, your feelings, you begin to see the patterns, where your mind tightens, where it softens, what fuels the flames of restlessness. This seeing is not passive, it's transformative. Little by little, the mind untangles itself. Understanding suffering also opens our eyes to the suffering of others. We realize we are not alone. Everyone we meet carries hidden burdens. A smile can mask deep wounds. A harsh word may come from someone else's unhealed pain. Seeing this, our heart naturally grows kinder. We judge less, listen more. Compassion flows more easily. Because we know what it feels like to struggle. So, when life feels too heavy, instead of asking, "Why me?" we can gently ask, "What is this teaching me?" We can breathe with the discomfort instead of pushing it away. We can sit with grief, fear, disappointment, not to drown in them, but to understand their nature. We see that like everything else, they too are impermanent. They arise, stay for a while, and pass away. Just watching this truth can bring unexpected relief. The Buddha's first noble truth reminds us that awakening doesn't lie in denying life's pain but in transforming our relationship with it. Pain will still come, loss, aging, partings, uncertainty, but they need not destroy our peace. When we stop fighting reality, we save our energy for what truly matters: kindness, wisdom, presence. So if you find yourself hurting today, try not to run from it. Sit down. Breathe. Place a gentle hand over your heart. Ask yourself, where does this hurt come from? What am I clinging to? Can I let it soften, even just a little? In that quiet moment of seeing, you are already walking the path the Buddha pointed to, the path that begins with understanding suffering and ends with true freedom. This is the gift the Buddha left us, not freedom from life, but freedom within life, right here, right now, in the heart that knows how to see and stay awake. When we know how to look deeply at suffering, we also discover how to rise above it, and how, even in the darkest night, the light of awareness never goes out. Breathing with suffering, instead of fighting it. The Buddha taught us a simple but profound truth: dwell in the present moment. This teaching is not just about enjoying a peaceful sunset or feeling grateful when things are easy. Its deepest power reveals itself when we are in pain, when the heart is heavy, when life feels unfair, when loss, disappointment, or fear tighten around the chest. In these moments, the invitation is this: don't run. Don't push it away. Stay. Breathe with it. We live in a world that tells us to escape discomfort at all costs. Feeling sad? Distract yourself. Feeling anxious? Bury it under busyness. Feeling grief? Pretend you're fine. From a young age, we learn to push away what hurts and chase what pleases us. But what the Buddha saw, and what any of us can see when we sit quietly with ourselves, is that this constant resistance only feeds the suffering we're trying to avoid. Imagine you're caught in a storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes down. You can scream at the storm to stop, you can try to outrun it, or you can stand still, anchor yourself, and let it pass through you. The storm is your suffering, your fear, regret, anger, or sorrow. Fighting it makes it wilder. Running from it makes it follow you. But if you stay, if you stand in the eye of it, you discover something you might not expect: it doesn't last forever. And at the center of it, there is a calm that cannot be destroyed. Breathing with your pain is like standing in the eye of your own storm. You don't drown it out with distractions. You don't push it away with forced positivity. You greet it. You acknowledge it. You feel it fully, not to indulge it, but to understand it. This is not weakness. This is the beginning of true healing. When the Buddha taught about mindfulness of breathing, it wasn't just to help monks sit still. It was a way to help us touch life exactly as it is, pleasant or painful, with awareness and compassion. Every mindful breath is like a gentle hand on your own shoulder, reminding you, I am here. I see you, pain. I am not abandoning you. You can try this now. Take a slow, deep breath. Notice where your body feels tight. Maybe it's your chest. Maybe it's your belly. Maybe it's your throat. Let your breath go right there, like warm sunlight. Feel the tension. Name it silently. This is sadness. Or, this is fear. Or, this is anger. Naming it helps you see it clearly, instead of being controlled by it. So often, our pain grows bigger because we layer it with stories. This shouldn't be happening to me. I shouldn't feel this way. I'll never get over this. But when you breathe with suffering, you drop the story and meet what's actually here. Underneath the fear, the anger, the grief, there is just a human heart, tender and alive. This is the part of you that knows how to heal, if you give it the space to do so. Breathing with suffering does not mean we become passive. It does not mean we accept abuse, injustice, or stay stuck in toxic patterns. It means we stop adding more violence to our own heart by resisting what is already here. It means we respond, not react. We move, but from a place of clarity and compassion, not panic. A mother holding her crying child does not yell at the tears. She doesn't tell the child to toughen up or shut up. She holds them close, lets them cry, and soothes them with her calm presence. This is exactly how we can hold our own pain, not by suppressing it, not by dramatizing it, but by cradling it with steady awareness. When you breathe with your pain, you also learn something precious: pain changes. It is not a solid wall. It moves. It has waves. Sometimes it's sharp, sometimes it softens. Sometimes it flares up, then fades. The more you breathe with it, the less frightening it becomes. You realize, I can stay. I don't have to run. This, too, will pass. This practice turns suffering into a teacher. It shows you your strength. It reveals your patterns. It deepens your compassion, for yourself and for others. Because once you have sat with your own fear, you will recognize it in others. Once you have held your own grief, you will know how to sit beside someone else's. The walls that separate us start to fall. Pain, instead of isolating us, can connect us. In the West, we are often taught to fix everything: our sadness, our loneliness, our fear. But the Buddha's way is different. It's not about fixing but about befriending. When you breathe with your pain, you are not broken. You are human. You are alive. You are awake to life in all its raw beauty and sorrow. If you find yourself struggling now, heavy with regret, afraid of tomorrow, grieving someone or something you loved, try this: sit down, close your eyes, and take 3 slow breaths. Place a hand on your chest. Feel the rise and fall. Whisper to yourself, I am here for you. Not to force the pain away, but to remind yourself that you don't have to face it alone, not when you have your own steady breath, your own warm presence. In the darkest nights of the mind, this simple practice can become your refuge, breathing in, breathing out, not to escape your pain, but to stay with it until it teaches you what it came to teach. This is the heart of the Buddha's wisdom, that true freedom is not the absence of storms, but the courage to stand calmly right where the thunder rolls, breathing, knowing, and trusting that every storm, no matter how fierce, will eventually pass. A non-judging mind, the key to inner peace. When life gets hard, the first thing our mind usually does is judge. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? This habit is so deeply rooted that we hardly notice it. But if we look closely, we'll see that this endless questioning often brings more pain than the hardship itself. The Buddha's wisdom invites us to shift that question from, why me, to, what can I learn from this? This simple change is powerful. It turns us from a helpless victim of circumstances into a humble student of life. The storm outside might still rage on, but the mind inside stops creating more storms. And that is where true inner peace begins, not from controlling the world, but from freeing the mind of its harsh judgments. When something unwanted happens, the judging mind shows up right away. This is wrong. This shouldn't happen. This is unfair. The mind spins stories, blames others, blames ourselves. Replays the past, worries about the future. All this noise pulls us away from what's actually here, a moment, a feeling, a breath. A non-judging mind does not mean we ignore reality or pretend everything is okay when it's not. It means we meet reality without adding an extra layer of suffering. We see what is happening, pain, fear, loss, but we do not attack ourselves or the situation with more anger, more blame, more resistance. We simply see. And in this seeing, there is space for understanding, for wise action, for compassion. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is not about forcing yourself to be calm or to think positive. It is the art of noticing, with curiosity, with kindness. Without labeling everything as good or bad, right or wrong. It is the quiet voice in your heart that says, this is what's here. Let's see it clearly. Imagine you are sitting by a river. Leaves and branches float by. Each leaf is a thought, a feeling, a story. The judging mind wants to jump in, grab the leaves, analyze them, get tangled in them. The mindful mind sits on the bank and watches, a thought of anger, a wave of fear, a memory of loss. No need to push them away. No need to hold on. Just watch. Let the river carry them. The river never stops, but neither do you drown in it. When we judge ourselves harshly, we create an enemy inside our own heart. We divide ourselves, this part of me is bad. This feeling is wrong. I shouldn't be like this. But the truth is, everything we feel is just a guest passing through. Fear, sadness, regret, they all have something to teach us if we stop fighting them. A non-judging mind makes space for these visitors to come and go without wrecking our peace. One of the greatest gifts of a non-judging mind is self-compassion. So many people can offer kindness to everyone but themselves. When they struggle, they criticize. When they fail, they punish. When they hurt, they tell themselves they should be stronger. But the Buddha taught that the first person who deserves your compassion is you. If you cannot hold your own pain gently, how can you hold anyone else's? So when life disappoints you, instead of, why is this happening to me, try asking, what is this moment asking from me? What can I learn here? What does this reveal about my own heart? Maybe you learn patience. Maybe you learn humility. Maybe you see an old wound that still needs care. In this way, even pain becomes a teacher. This practice does not magically erase difficulties. Bills still come. People still disappoint us. Plans still fall apart. But what changes is the way your mind meets it all. Instead of making every challenge heavier with judgment, you bring lightness with curiosity. Instead of drowning in blame, you float in awareness. It helps to remember, what you judge controls you. If you judge fear as bad, you fear fear itself, which only makes it stronger. If you judge sadness as weakness, you hide it, which only deepens the loneliness. But when you stop judging, you stop feeding the fire. Fear is just fear. Sadness is just sadness. They arise. They stay, they go. You remain, spacious, awake, unharmed. How do we cultivate this non-judging mind? Not by force, but by gentle practice. When you sit in meditation, watch the mind's tendency to label, this is good, this is bad. Smile at it. Come back to the breath. When someone says something hurtful, notice the judgment that leaps up, they are terrible. I am worthless. Pause. Breathe. Ask, is this true? Is there another way to see this? Little by little, you train the mind to rest in presence, not in reaction. Everyday life gives us countless chances to practice, when you spill your coffee, when you make a mistake at work, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when your body aches. Can you see it all without condemnation? Can you treat it all with gentle curiosity? This is how freedom grows, moment by moment. So if today you find yourself caught in the old habit of asking, why me? Pause. Breathe. Gently ask instead, what is this here to teach me? Maybe the lesson won't come right away. Maybe it will unfold slowly. That's okay. Trust that your willingness to learn already plants the seed for peace. A non-judging mind is not a mind that ignores reality. It is a mind that sees clearly without adding chains to what's already difficult. This is the essence of inner freedom. Nothing has to change out there for you to be free in here. And when the mind rests in this freedom, no storm, no loss, no disappointment can take away the peace you carry within. Acceptance is not giving up. In the Buddha's teachings, there is a quiet but powerful truth: acceptance is not surrender. True acceptance is not weakness, not passivity, not giving up on life. It is not an excuse to stop caring or to drift through our days without effort. Rather, acceptance is the wisdom that frees us from the suffering caused by clinging to how we think things should be, so we can meet life as it is. The Buddha did not tell us to run away from life's challenges or to sit back helplessly while pain washes over us. He spoke of letting go, not giving up. He taught us to act with all our heart, but to release our tight grip on how things must turn out. This is the art of non-attachment, living fully, loving deeply, giving our best, and yet not being bound by the result. This is easy to say, but so hard to practice. Most of us are taught from childhood that if we want something enough, if we try hard enough, life must bend to our will. So we chase success, approval, love, security, and we cling tightly to our plans, our goals, our desires. When things don't go as we wish, we feel cheated, bitter, defeated. We think, I did everything right, why didn't I get what I wanted? But life is bigger than our plans. The Buddha saw this clearly. He saw that no matter how carefully we arrange our days, uncertainty is woven into the fabric of existence. People change. Circumstances shift. Loss happens. The more we fight this truth, the more we suffer. But when we accept it, something remarkable happens. Our hearts become resilient, open, and at ease. Acceptance is not resignation. Resignation says, I can't do anything, so why bother? Acceptance says, I will do everything I can, but I know I cannot control everything. This difference changes everything. One shrinks our spirit. The other frees it. A gardener plants seeds, tends the soil, waters the shoots, pulls the weeds. She gives her care, her time, her sweat. But she cannot force the sun to shine or the rain to fall. She cannot demand the seed sprout on her schedule. She does her best, then she lets nature take its course. Her acceptance does not make her lazy, it makes her wise. She knows her part and trusts the rest. The same is true in our lives. We show up fully, for our work, our relationships, our dreams. We speak honestly, love sincerely, try wholeheartedly. But we remember, we are not the ultimate controller. We influence the unfolding, but we don't dictate it. We do not own other people's choices. We do not own the tides of change. We do not own the outcomes. When we live this way, a great burden lifts. Imagine how much tension drops from the shoulders when we realize we do not have to hold the whole universe together. We see that our job is not to manipulate life but to participate in it with clear intention, compassion, and presence. We take care of our actions, but we do not get trapped by the fruits of those actions. The Bhagavad Gita, another timeless wisdom text, echoes this: you have a right to your actions, but never to your actions' fruits. The Buddha's path aligns with this truth: live mindfully, act skillfully, but don't cling to the result. This is true freedom. Look at how this works in daily life. You study hard for an exam, you give your best effort, but you accept that you may not score perfectly. You love someone with your whole heart, you nurture the relationship, but you accept that people grow apart sometimes. You pour energy into a project, but you accept that life circumstances might shift and change your plans overnight. this does not make your effort meaningless. It makes your heart strong enough to bend with life rather than break against it. This acceptance does not numb you. On the contrary, it makes you more alive. When you stop clinging to how things must be, you discover how beautiful things are. You see the present moment more clearly because you're not trapped in endless what-ifs and should-have-beens. You taste your food, you listen deeply, you stand fully where you are. You become intimate with reality. Sometimes people hear letting go and think it means becoming cold, detached, indifferent. But true letting go is warm. It's soft, spacious, kind. It says, I care so much that I will not crush this moment with my demands. I love so deeply that I will not imprison what I love in my expectations. I trust enough to let life unfold. The Buddha's own life shows us this. He did not run away to a cave forever, untouched by the world's messiness. He returned again and again to the villages and cities, teaching, comforting the sick, advising rulers, guiding confused disciples. He engaged fully. But he did not cling. He was at peace whether people praised him or rejected him, whether his words were heeded or ignored. His acceptance did not weaken his compassion, it made it unconditional. So when life challenges you, try this, act. Do what you can. Speak your truth. Give your love. Take the next step. But when the results come, however they come, breathe. Let them be what they are. Celebrate when they bring joy. Bow when they bring pain. And keep your heart open for what comes next. Acceptance is not giving up. It is giving up the illusion that we can bend reality to fit our wishes. It is giving up the battle with what already is. It is giving up the fear that we will not survive disappointment. We will survive, and we will grow wiser, kinder, freer each time we do. To accept is not to fold our hands and drift, it is to stand up, to walk our path fully awake. To pour our energy into each moment, and then to bow to the mystery that finishes what we cannot. This is true letting go, not weakness, but the deepest strength. It is the secret doorway to peace that no storm can close. The light of compassion, even for yourself. When people hear about compassion in Buddhism, they often think first of kindness toward others. Being patient, forgiving, gentle, and understanding. But the Buddha's teachings remind us that true compassion must begin at home, within the tender, hidden corners of our own heart. Treat yourself as you would treat your dearest friend. This simple idea can transform the way we live, breathe, and heal. Yet, strangely, being kind to ourselves is often the hardest practice of all. We carry endless expectations for ourselves, to be strong, to be wise, to be unbreakable, to always know the right answer, to never fail. When we fall short, as all human beings do, we become our own harshest judge, our own worst critic. We say things to ourselves in secret that we would never dare say to someone we love. How could I be so stupid? I should be over this by now. I'm such a failure. These silent blows land over and over. Until the heart is bruised not by life's hardships but by our own relentless self-attack. The Buddha saw this clearly. The mind's deepest suffering often comes not from what happens to us, but from how we treat ourselves in those moments. So he offered another way, the path of metta, loving kindness, compassion that includes ourselves as naturally as it includes others. True compassion does not pick and choose, you deserve love, but I do not. No. True compassion is like the sun, it shines on everything without judgment. Imagine a friend comes to you, exhausted and ashamed after making a mistake. They sit down, eyes downcast, shoulders heavy. What would you say? Would you shame them further? Would you tell them they are worthless? Or would you listen, place a gentle hand on their back, remind them they are only human, and that you still care? Most of us know how to comfort a friend. Why, then, do we struggle to offer the same warmth inward? The Buddha taught that when the mind is caught in suffering, the first refuge is mindfulness, to see clearly what we are experiencing. But mindfulness alone is not enough. The second refuge is compassion, to hold what we see with kindness. It is the difference between staring coldly at our pain and cradling it as we would a crying child. One freezes the heart, the other heals it. There is an old story. A monk asked the Buddha how often he should practice loving kindness. The Buddha replied, as often as you breathe. This includes ourselves. Whenever we catch the harsh voice in our head, we can pause, breathe, and remember, I am not my mistakes. I am not my worst day. I am worthy of the same kindness I offer others. Practicing compassion for ourselves does not mean we make excuses or ignore our faults. It means we see them honestly, but without hatred. We can admit, I was wrong, while still holding ourselves with warmth. We can say, I failed, without turning that failure into our whole identity. We can be gentle with our limits, patient with our wounds. A beautiful thing happens when we treat ourselves kindly. We naturally become more compassionate to others. When we stop fighting ourselves, we stop fighting the world. When we forgive ourselves, we find it easier to forgive the people who hurt us, because we see they too are struggling with their own fears and flaws. The harsh edge softens. Understanding flows where once there was blame. In daily life, practicing self-compassion can be simple, though not always easy. It might look like giving yourself permission to rest when you're tired, instead of pushing through with resentment. It might be saying no when you're overwhelmed, instead of pleasing everyone at your own expense. It might be holding your own hand, literally placing your hand over your heart, when shame or regret rises like a storm, whispering to yourself, it's okay, I'm here for you. Self-compassion can even guide how we grow. Instead of changing ourselves out of self-hatred, I must fix myself because I am broken, we grow out of love. I want to heal because I care about this life I have been given. This shift makes all the difference. We move toward our best self, not driven by fear but inspired by kindness. Sometimes people fear that being compassionate toward themselves will make them lazy or self-indulgent. But the opposite is true. Harshness drains us, kindness energizes us. When we feel safe in our own heart, we have the courage to face our mistakes, to keep trying, to stand up again when we fall. Loving kindness is not an excuse to avoid responsibility, it is what makes taking responsibility possible, without shame crushing us. Look at the Buddha's own example, again and again. He reminded his followers that every being deserves compassion, from the greatest king to the smallest insect. He saw through people's faults and failures to the seed of goodness in every heart. He encouraged us to find that seed within ourselves, too. He knew, a heart that shines compassion inward shines it outward naturally, like a lamp lighting a dark room. So if you are hurting now, weary, regretful, disappointed in yourself, pause. Breathe. Place a hand over your chest. Feel the warmth. Say gently, may I be kind to myself in this moment. May I forgive myself for being human. May I remember I am worthy of love, even now. Maybe your mind will resist. That's okay. Be kind to that resistance too. Just keep planting the seeds. Water them with your breath. In time, compassion grows roots. It becomes the quiet light you carry everywhere, a refuge when you stumble, a guide when you forget your worth. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching, that awakening does not come from perfection, but from the tender courage to love what is wounded, including ourselves. The world will not always be gentle. But within you lives a gentle place, untouched by praise or blame, success or failure. When you touch it, you remember, you are not alone. You are not unworthy. You are human, and in your humanness, you are already enough. Compassion does not make you weak. It makes you whole. And when you stand whole, you bring that same light to a world that desperately needs it. Taking refuge in the three jewels, finding spiritual strength. In the Buddha's time, when people faced fear, sorrow, or deep uncertainty, they turned to a simple but profound practice, taking refuge. This means resting your heart in a place of unwavering support, a place that reminds you that no matter how lost or fragile you feel, you are never truly alone. For more than 2,600 years, Buddhists have taken refuge in what we call the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. These are not just ideas or rituals. They are living sources of strength that you can lean on whenever life shakes you to your core. The Buddha is not just a distant historical figure, but a reminder that awakening is possible. He was a human being, just like you and me, who faced fear, doubt, loss, and temptation. He didn't escape the world. He understood it so deeply that he found freedom within it. When we say, "I take refuge in the Buddha," we remind ourselves that we too have the seed of awakening inside. The Buddha shows us freedom is possible, no matter how tangled our minds may be. When you feel unworthy, when you believe you can't change, remember the Buddha's story. He began as a sheltered prince, lost in illusions of comfort. He walked into the world suffering with open eyes and an open heart, and discovered unshakable peace within the storms of life. That possibility lives in you, too. The Dharma is the living truth, the teachings, the practices, the insights that help us see things as they really are. When the mind is clouded by confusion or pain, the Dharma is like a lamp that lights the next step. It teaches us how to calm the waves of craving, anger, and ignorance that create so much suffering. To take refuge in the Dharma is to say, "I trust there is a path." It reminds us that no matter how complicated life feels, there are timeless teachings to help us untangle our knots, not with blind faith, but with clear seeing and steady practice. The Dharma gives us tools to live wisely: mindfulness, loving-kindness, patience, compassion, letting go. Each teaching is like a gentle hand guiding us back to ourselves. The Sangha is the community, those who walk this path together. It may be monks and nuns, but it is also the circle of spiritual friends, teachers, and fellow seekers who help us remember what matters when we forget. In moments of weakness, we need people who remind us of our strength. When we feel alone in our doubts and struggles, we need voices that say, "Keep going. I'm here with you." Taking refuge in the Sangha means we don't have to carry our burdens alone. We find strength in shared practice, shared stories, shared silence. In the Buddha's time, the Sangha lived side by side under trees and open skies, supporting each other in meditation and daily life. Today, the Sangha might be a local temple, an online group, a trusted friend who understands your heart. Even if you walk the path in solitude, you are walking alongside countless others who breathe the same prayers for wisdom and compassion. When life is smooth, we often forget about refuge. But when storms hit, when grief, fear, or failure shake us, the three jewels are an anchor. They are not magic. They do not erase pain, but they remind us, you are not alone. There is a path. Others have walked it before you, and others walk beside you now. Taking refuge is not about blind belief. It's not worship in the ordinary sense. It's an act of trust in our own deepest potential and in the support that life offers when we open our hearts to it. It's saying, in this world of uncertainty, I choose something trustworthy inside and around me to steady my mind and open my heart. How do we take refuge in daily life? Sometimes it's as simple as pausing to remember the Buddha's example when you feel defeated. He, too, struggled, and he overcame. Sometimes it's picking up a Dharma book when the mind is restless, letting its words remind you how to come back to your breath, your body, your present moment. Sometimes it's reaching out to a spiritual friend when you feel you're slipping back into old habits. Taking refuge can be a silent prayer whispered before sleep. May I trust the Buddha within me, may I walk the Dharma path, may I feel the Sangha support. It can be bowing before a small Buddha statue, not as superstition, but as a gesture of humility and respect for the potential of your own awakened heart. In dark times, refuge is the candle you carry into the storm. It doesn't stop the wind, but it lights your way forward, one step at a time. Refuge reminds you that when your mind is caught in fear or confusion, there is always something steady to return to, the awakened possibility within you, the timeless wisdom of the teachings, and the living support of those who understand. The Buddha never promised a life free of sorrow, he promised a way to hold sorrow wisely. The Dharma doesn't erase life's uncertainty, it shows us how to meet it with clarity and compassion. The Sangha does not walk the path for you, it walks with you, reminding you that your struggle is not yours alone. So when you feel weak, don't push yourself to stand tall all by yourself. Rest your heart in the three jewels. Breathe into that refuge. Remember that countless generations before you have leaned on this same timeless shelter. In doing so, they found the courage to live with an open heart in a changing world, and so can you. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. May these words not be empty rituals, but living reminders. You have what you need to return to peace, again and again, no matter how many storms come. This is the strength of refuge, soft yet unshakable, ancient yet always alive, waiting for you to remember, you are never alone. No suffering lasts forever, impermanence is hope. In the Buddha's teachings, there is one truth that is both unsettling and deeply comforting: everything changes. We call this truth anicca, impermanence. At first glance, it can seem harsh. We cling to what we love, our youth, our health, our relationships, our successes, yet none of it stays the same. Life's sweetest moments slip through our fingers. And yet, woven into this same truth is a hidden gift: if nothing lasts forever, then neither does our pain. No storm, no matter how fierce, can rage endlessly. No night, no matter how dark, can hold back the dawn forever. Just as joy comes and goes, so too does sorrow. This is not wishful thinking, it is the very nature of reality. Impermanence is the ground on which hope stands. Think about it, every difficulty you have faced in life, no matter how impossible it felt in the moment, has changed. Maybe it resolved completely. Maybe it softened just enough for you to breathe again. Maybe it left scars, but even scars fade and reshape who you are. The person you are today is not the same as the one who suffered through yesterday's storms. You are here, still standing, still breathing, because things changed. And they will keep changing. The Buddha did not deny suffering. He faced it head-on. He called it by its name, Dukkha, the unsatisfactory, restless nature of life. But he also taught us to see deeper: suffering arises, stays for a time, and passes away. Like clouds drifting across the sky, it may block the sun, but it cannot erase it. The sky remains vast and untouched. When we forget impermanence, we add unnecessary weight to our struggles. We think, this pain will always be here. This failure defines me forever. This grief will never loosen its grip. But when we remember anicca, we loosen our own grip. We find the courage to stay with what hurts, because we know it won't hurt in exactly the same way tomorrow. To live with this awareness is not to pretend pain doesn't exist. It's to stand in the middle of the storm with a quiet, steady voice inside that says, "This too shall pass." It's to remind yourself, in your darkest moments, I don't have to solve everything now. I only have to breathe, to take this one step, to trust that life moves. Impermanence does not mean we sit back passively, waiting for life to fix itself. It means we act wisely, but without panic. We do what we can, we seek help, we talk to a friend, we rest when we must, and we trust that time, by its very nature, will do the rest. This truth gives us hope not only for our personal struggles but also for the world's pain. Wars end. Wounds heal. Injustice falls under the weight of time and effort. Even the hardest heart can soften. Even hatred can turn to understanding. Of course, These changes often come more slowly than we wish. But they do come. Life's river never stops flowing. There is a quiet freedom that blossoms when we see impermanence clearly. We cherish what we love more deeply because we know it will not last forever. We hold each sunrise, each laugh with a friend, each ordinary moment with reverence, not because we fear losing them, but because their passing makes them precious. And when the hard days come, the heartbreak, the loss, the failures that bring us to our knees, we can bow to them too, knowing they will not stay unchanged. We can let our tears fall without drowning in despair. We can whisper to ourselves, "This is not the end of the story. Life is still moving." One of the Buddha's greatest gifts to us is this gentle but unshakable reminder. There is nothing you can cling to that will not slip through your grasp, and that is not a curse, but a path to freedom. Because the moment you release your tight hold on how things must be, you open your hands to what can be. You become more resilient, more patient, more able to rise when life knocks you down. Imagine a tree in a storm. If it resists the wind rigidly, it snaps. If it bends, it survives. You are like that tree. Your roots, your wisdom, compassion, and trust in life's changing nature, hold you steady. Your branches, your thoughts, your plans, your moods, sway and twist, but they do not break you. So when you feel stuck in sorrow, or fear you'll never find your way back to calm, pause. Breathe. Gently remind yourself, this pain is not forever. This story is still unfolding. I will stand up again, maybe not today, but I will. Even the smallest willingness to trust impermanence plants the seed of hope. Sometimes, hope is not a loud cheer. Sometimes it is a single soft breath in the middle of the night. I don't know how yet, but I trust this will shift. That breath alone is enough to carry you through one more moment. And one moment at a time is how we survive, and how we discover that we are far stronger than we once believed. No suffering lasts forever. Even the deepest wounds can teach us strength, compassion, and resilience. This is the paradox. The same truth that takes from us the people and things we love is the same truth that frees us from despair. Impermanence is both our greatest loss and our greatest hope. May you remember, when life is heavy and your heart is tired, that no storm is eternal. May you trust that the sun behind the clouds is never lost. May you stand up, again and again, softened by sorrow but never defeated by it. And when you look back one day, may you see not only the storms you survived but also the quiet, steady courage that carried you through them all. Hardship is the fertilizer for wisdom. One of the most surprising gifts in the Buddha's life story is this: enlightenment did not come to him in comfort, luxury, or ease. It came after he faced the raw edges of life, after years of questions, wandering, failure, and deep struggle. The man who would one day sit under the Bodhi tree and awaken to unshakable peace first walked through fire. Before he was the Buddha, he was Siddhartha, a prince who left behind his palace, wealth, and power to search for truth. He saw sickness, old age, and death for the first time and realized no amount of pleasure could protect him, or anyone, from suffering. So he went into the forests, seeking answers from teachers, trying every path of discipline he could find. For 6 long years, he practiced extreme austerity, pushing his body to its limits, surviving on a single grain of rice a day, nearly dying on the bank of the Naranjara River. It was only when he lay near death that he realized something profound. Punishing himself would not set him free. He saw that neither indulgence nor self-torture brought true wisdom, but understanding did. So he let go of extremes. He ate, regained his strength, and sat under a fig tree, vowing not to rise until he saw reality clearly. And there, through the dark hours of the night and the temptations of his own mind, he faced everything he had run from: fear, desire, doubt, and awoke to a truth deeper than any hardship. The story is not just about him, it is about us. It reminds us that our struggles are not punishments or signs of failure. They are teachers. They are soil where wisdom takes root. When we imagine a wise, awakened life, we often picture stillness. Gentle smiles, quiet forests, and calm minds. But the path that leads there is rarely smooth. Life tests us, shakes us awake, breaks the pieces that no longer serve us. It humbles us, strips away illusions, and reveals what truly matters. It's uncomfortable, sometimes unbearably so, but like a blade being sharpened, we grow clearer and stronger through friction. A seed must crack open in the darkness for new life to grow. Likewise, our deepest insights often sprout from places we wish we could avoid: heartbreak, loss, failure, betrayal, loneliness. If we never felt uncertainty or disappointment, we might stay asleep in our illusions forever. But when our plans fall apart, we are forced to ask bigger questions. What am I clinging to? What really matters? Who am I beyond this pain? This is why the Buddha called suffering a noble truth, not something to fear or deny, but something to face directly. It is through seeing suffering clearly that we discover the roots of freedom. Look at your own life. When have you grown the most? When did you find courage you didn't know you had? It was probably not when everything was easy and certain. It was when you were brought to your knees, forced to meet parts of yourself you usually avoid. It was when you had to choose whether to break down or break open. Of course, this does not mean we should seek out pain for its own sake or romanticize hardship. The Buddha did not stay in self-torment, he saw its limits. But he also saw that we cannot skip the lessons struggle brings. The point is not to suffer endlessly, but to see suffering as it is, impermanent, workable, transformable. A wise person does not cling to hardship nor run from it. They bow to it, learn from it, and let it refine them. Hardship, like compost, nourishes the soil of our heart if we are willing to stay present with it. Modern life tries so hard to sell us comfort as the ultimate goal. We numb discomfort with distractions, scrolling, shopping, constant busyness. We think if we can just stay entertained and insulated, we'll be safe. But what happens? The moment real life crashes in, illness, loss, aging, disappointment, we're left shocked, unprepared, and afraid. The Dharma invites us to turn toward our struggles instead. To sit with them, breathe with them, and ask, what is this here to teach me? Sometimes the lesson is humility, remembering we are not in control of everything. Sometimes it is compassion, discovering how much we share with others who suffer too. Sometimes it is letting go, releasing our tight hold on what cannot stay. Sometimes it is faith, realizing that, like the Buddha on the riverbank, we can stand up again when we thought we were finished. One day, you will look back at a hardship you thought would break you, and see it differently. You may see that it cracked you open in a way that let the light in. You may see that it shaped you into someone braver, softer, wiser than you were before. This is the quiet gift hidden in difficulty. It reminds us of our resilience and our capacity for awakening. So when life tests you, when things fall apart, when the ground beneath you trembles, remember the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Remember that awakening did not come to him on silk cushions in a royal garden. It came through facing his deepest fears, doubts, and desires head-on, with a clear mind and an open heart. Your struggles are not proof that you are failing. They may be proof that you are ripening. That your old ways no longer fit. That something in you is ready to grow. If you can hold this, even for a moment, you transform hardship from an enemy into an ally. Breathe. Stay. Be gentle with yourself. Learn what you can. Let the storms feed your roots. Let the darkness break the seed. And when the dawn comes, as it always does, you will stand taller, clearer, and ready to share the quiet strength you found in the depths. This is how hardship becomes the fertilizer for wisdom, and how wisdom, in time, blossoms into compassion for all beings who walk the same winding path. When the mind is at peace, The world is at peace. There is an old teaching at the heart of the Buddha's wisdom: the world outside is shaped by the world inside. When your mind is restless, fearful, or angry, everything you see feels restless, fearful, or hostile. But when your mind is calm, clear, and open, the same world appears softer, more workable, even beautiful in its imperfection. You cannot control the storms of life. You cannot command other people to be kind, the weather to be fair, or your plans to always unfold as you wish. But you can choose how you meet each moment. You can learn to steady your heart in the middle of chaos. This is the essence of true freedom, not that life stops changing, but that your mind remains spacious no matter what comes. Many people spend their whole lives trying to fix the outside world first. If only my partner would change, if only my boss would understand, if only the economy would improve. If only my body were different, then I could be at peace. But the Buddha gently turned this logic upside down. First, calm the mind, then see the world more clearly. When the mind is still, the problems do not vanish, but you see how to meet them wisely. This does not mean we ignore injustice or give up on making changes where we can. It means we stop pouring fuel on the fires of our own suffering by reacting blindly. We act with wisdom rather than panic, with compassion rather than blame. This is the quiet strength of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not a fancy ritual. It is not about escaping the world, pretending nothing bothers you. It is the simple, radical practice of noticing what is happening inside me right now. When anger rises, you see it. When fear grips you, you feel it fully. When sorrow spills over, you breathe with it. You do not push it away or cling to it. You just witness it, and in that clear seeing, you become less controlled by it. With mindfulness comes choice. Instead of reacting from habit, yelling when you feel threatened, withdrawing when you feel ashamed, you pause. You breathe. You remember, this is anger, this is fear, this is sadness, but it is not the whole of me. You give your feelings space, so they can come and go like passing weather. You respond rather than react. This moment-to-moment awareness is not just for meditation cushions or quiet forest retreats. It is for the traffic jam when someone cuts you off. For the late-night worry about your child's future. For the argument with someone you love. For the sudden grief when you remember someone you lost. These are the moments that shape our days, and when your mind is steady, each moment becomes an opportunity to live differently. But mindfulness alone is not enough. The Buddha paired mindfulness with metta, loving kindness, compassion that softens the edges of our clear seeing. Without compassion, mindfulness can become cold or overly analytical. With compassion, it becomes medicine for the heart. When you notice your anger with compassion, you see the hurt underneath it. When you feel fear with compassion, you hold it like a trembling child who needs care, not judgment. When you remember that everyone you meet is carrying their own hidden struggles, your sharp words soften, your patience grows. The world does not need more people who are merely calm. It needs people whose calmness gives birth to wise action. People who can stand in the fire without burning others, people who can hold their own pain without spreading it like poison. This is the gift of a mind that rests in mindfulness and compassion together. So how do we train this mind? Not overnight. Not by force. But gently, breath by breath, choice by choice. You can start right now, in this moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath moving in and out. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice the thoughts passing through your mind like clouds across the sky. Notice your heartbeat. This is the mind returning home to itself. When difficulties come, as they always do, you do not need to solve them all at once. You do not need to know exactly how they will end. You only need to stay with this breath, this feeling, this step. And when you slip, when you lose your patience, speak a harsh word, forget to be mindful, you do not punish yourself. You simply begin again. This gentle returning is the heart of practice. Over time, something shifts. The world outside still spins with uncertainty. People still disappoint you, traffic still clogs the roads. Storms still knock at your door. But inside, there is a space that does not collapse so easily. A softness that does not harden so quickly. A quiet place where you can rest, breathe, and remember. I cannot control everything, but I can choose how I meet what comes. This does not mean you become passive or stop caring. In fact, the more peaceful your mind, the clearer your vision for what truly needs changing in the world. You can speak up for justice without hatred. You can work for peace without burning out. You can love others deeply without losing yourself in their storms. When your mind is peaceful, your actions are more skillful. When your actions are skillful, the world around you feels less hostile, more workable. You see the interconnection, as within, so without. This is how the mind shapes the world, not by magic, but by transforming each small moment of reactivity into a chance to choose love, wisdom, and presence. So when life feels out of control, remember, your mind is your true home. Guard it well. Feed it wisely. Rest it often. Let mindfulness be your anchor. Let compassion be your compass. And when you stand in the middle of a storm, inner or outer, remember this simple truth. When the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. And that is where true freedom begins. Right here, in this breath. Right here, in this choice. Right here. In the unshakable space you carry within you, the calm center of a life fully lived. No matter what you're going through, remember this. No matter what challenge you are facing right now, no matter how heavy your heart feels, or how lost you might seem, please remember. You are not alone. And you can make it through. The Buddha's timeless wisdom reminds us that pain and struggle are not signs that we have failed, they are part of being human. They can be teachers, guiding us back to our true strength. If these words, this reflection, or anything in this video has touched something quiet and true inside you, I invite you to pause for a moment, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I learning right now? What am I letting go of? What am I seeing more clearly in my own life? If you feel moved, please share your thought or feeling in the comments below. You may think it's small or unimportant, but sometimes a single honest share can become a tiny lantern for someone else who is walking their own dark path. We never know whose life we might touch just by speaking from the heart. And if you feel called to keep walking this path of understanding, to keep listening, reflecting, and opening your heart through the deep wisdom of the Buddha's teachings, I invite you to stay connected. Click subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and know that this small act is like placing one more stone on your path of mindfulness. It reminds you that you do not have to figure everything out alone. We are here, learning and remembering together. Thank you for being here, for listening, for breathing with these words, for bringing your own questions and your own courage. May you trust that no pain is forever. May you find strength in your practice, peace in your heart, and the quiet company of those who walk beside you, near or far. May we meet again in the next video, and until then, may your path be gentle, your mind clear, and your heart at ease.